Just when you thought the Kamala Harris ticket couldn't possibly be more radically left-wing, she goes and picks Minnesota's Tim Walz, a Bernie bro fully endorsed by the socialist senator, and thwarts the bid of Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, who most thought was a slam dunk to be Kamala's running mate, and many thought would actually win the election with her because of his popularity in the critical swing state. But in the end, it seems nothing is more powerful than liberal anti-Semitism. And Kamala instead goes with a guy who said this.
We can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
That's right. Gulags are just, they're parts of the neighborhood. It's like when the homeowners association decides that your outside color is just a little too blue, you got to repaint it. That's socialism. It's just being neighborly. It's just giving of yourself at the tip of a bayonet. Here's what we are giving away, ladies and gentlemen. A trip for two to the iHeartRadio Music Festival. It's our flyaway contest. It just started up again yesterday, and we are so excited to be able to give a couple of tickets to you. All you need to do is to text the word Vegas, VEGAS. Vegas. You have got until 55 past this hour to go to our website, to text the word Vegas. You can see I am so used to these being web-based contests. It's unique. They do sort of go back and forth, but the last couple were website contests, Dave. I'm not exactly sure what the marketing strategy is there. I'm sure it's something. Personally, I think, well, you know what it is. I'm sure of it. It is, I've never obviously entered one of these contests. It's to opt in for text alerts or it's some form of marketing. They want your cell phone number, basically. But we already have all your information. When you sign up for your iHeartRadio account, and you can opt out of all of the texts and all of the alerts and everything. So you text the word Vegas to 200-200. You've got until 55 past the hour to text the word Vegas. If you enter this contest, you will get a confirmation text and information. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. What you get: round-trip airfare for two to fabulous Las Vegas, 2 nights hotel stay, ground transportation, and tickets to both nights of the iHeartRadio Music Festival, September 20th and 21st, plus a $1,000 gift card. So think of this as the sizzling summer cash contest plus a trip to Las Vegas. And that's why we're only playing 3 times per day, because we've only got a finite number of tickets to give away. So 3 times per day from now until September 6th. You've got exactly 1 month to play, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m. every single weekday. We also have a huge announcement here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Tucker Carlson is coming to Milwaukee with special guest Larry Elder at the Fiserv Forum September 16th. And we have got a pair of tickets to give away every single day here on the Dan O'Donnell Show for the rest of this week. In fact, tomorrow we will likely we'll give away 2 pairs of Tucker and Larry Elder. Probably wondering, guess what's racist? America's favorite game show. So be listening later in the show. We are going to give away a pair of tickets to Tucker Carlson with Larry Elder at the Fiserv Forum September 16th. Tickets are available right now. Just go to Ticketmaster.com. I believe we do have a link through our website. Tickets start at just $34 a piece. So you can see Tucker and Larry Elder. By the way, for those who don't know Larry Elder, he ran for governor of California some years back during the recall election of Gavin Newsom. Newsom, of course, won handily because this is not 2003, and Governor Schwarzenegger would have no chance of unseating a liberal like Gray Davis today. But Larry Elder has been a spectacular talk show host out in Los Angeles for probably 30 years now. In fact, I read one of his books that he probably wrote in 2001, 2002. Just a very talented guy. I've always wanted to meet him. So Tucker Carlson live with special guest Larry Elder, 7 o'clock. September 16th. Listen later on today for your chance to win tickets. So the pick is in. Kamala Harris, who yesterday, did you know Kamala was officially named the Democratic nominee yesterday? Did you know that? It is not happening 2 weeks from now at the convention. They actually did an online vote. Okay, this is the future liberals want. She is no longer the presumptive nominee. She is the Democratic nominee. They wanted to ward off. See, this is my pet theory. They needed to get her as the official nominee before they risked her doing an unscripted interview, because there would have been forces in the Democratic Party after hearing her speak that would have pulled the plug faster than they did on Biden. And Biden's got the easy excuse, hey, I'm suffering from cognitive decline. When you hear some of Kamala's answers, you'll wonder if she has too. Well, so that happened yesterday. This morning, about an hour ago, word started to leak out that she's selected Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. 3 sources with knowledge of the pick tell NBC News, I believe the Wall Street Journal was the first to report. Walz is in his second term as governor. He served 12 years in Congress, and this being NBC News, this is how they describe him. She will have as her number 2 someone with a proven record of winning over white working class voters in Rust Belt states while also boasting a robustly progressive record. Democrats will hope that mix of attributes helps a Harris-Walz ticket shore up support in the one-time blue wall states of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, longtime Democrat strongholds at the presidential level that Donald Trump flipped in 2016 and Joe Biden flipped back in 2020. This year, they've been seen as Biden's and now Harris's most viable path to victory. A proven record of winning over white working class voters in Rust Belt states while also boasting a robustly progressive record. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. He signed a bill into law giving driver's licenses to illegals.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
He also, declared Minnesota essentially a sanctuary state.
Should Minnesota be a sanctuary state?
If the definition of that is that the federal government enforces immigration law and local law enforcement enforces local law, then yes.
Should cities be allowed to be sanctuary cities?
Yes, local control.
He also supported illegal immigrants using ladders to climb over a Trump border wall.
And I think seeing a plan that's out there, talking about it with folks, knowing that he's not going to do anything. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this.
Moreover, he signed a bill into law not just allowing, but requiring menstrual products in boys' bathrooms in schools for all the boys who have periods. Most unforgivably, however, was the fact that he let Minneapolis burn night after night after night in the George Floyd riots. Even local television station KARE in the Twin Cities was flabbergasted that the governor of Minnesota was allowing their city to burn.
I've been texting with our news director while we've been on the air saying, I know you have a request into the governor, anything. And they are refusing to make any kind of statement right now. Listen, we know they're busy, but I can't think of anything more important right now than explaining to us why we are allowing this to happen again.
And once again, we are asking the governor, we're asking Mayor Fry, what is the plan here? You said there was a plan yesterday. You said there was a plan for today. And in both instances, we haven't seen.
And tonight, it seems it seems even more inexcusable. You can understand how last night maybe got away from them. They didn't know what was going to happen.
Well, they gave up the 3rd precinct last night.
And to tonight not be able to respond to this, it doesn't make sense. I wish someone would explain to us the thinking behind this. Surely they're having these conversations about what we are going to do if and when. What was the conversation around this? If this started happening again in the 3rd precinct or in a different precinct, was this the plan? This was the plan, to let it all happen again in a different precinct? And if that was the plan, why? I mean, there must be a reason that you would say, we're going to allow this to happen. So please, Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, explain to us what the plan is.
The plan was to let it burn, lady. In fact, night after night after night, day after day after day, as protests spilled into riots, Tim Walz sat back and allowed it to happen in the name of social justice. Now, the Trump campaign, which has been accused of being flat-footed for the past 16 days, as Kamala Harris was allowed to be wrapped in bubble wrap and protected from any actual media scrutiny, although let's not kid ourselves, the media has been covering her as the second coming of Jesus Christ while refusing to demand that she sit down for an interview. Truly, have you ever heard a presidential campaign launch without the candidate doing a single press conference or a single interview for 2 weeks? The Trump campaign, though, has been accused of being caught flat-footed. Now, how exactly are you going to combat the messianic coverage that Kamala Harris has gotten without viewers, without voters, without people who are actually going to make the decision in November ever hearing her speak extemporaneously? The only obvious conclusion here is what? That Democrats, the people who handle Kamala's campaign, think she is too stupid to do interviews. There is no other explanation. If she was good, if she was going to wow people in a press conference, if she was going to playfully banter with the press and endear herself to millions like Ronald Reagan was so good at doing back in the 1980s, they would have her do it. If she was going to be able to forcefully defend the disastrous Biden-Harris economic policy that brought us the single biggest stock market drop, one-day drop since March of 2020, when government was shutting down businesses, and an affordability crisis that has left millions of Americans unable to pay for the basic necessities, then they would have her do it. But she didn't. So Trump and Vance and their team has been accused of just being flat-footed, behind the ball, not being able to counter Harris's runaway popularity. It's so weird, isn't it, that Kamala went up about 10 points in polling from the beginning of July to the beginning of August without ever saying or doing anything. 3 months ago, literally 3 months ago, Biden's team was openly leaking that they were considering replacing her on the ticket because she was such an obvious liability. Now, of course, she is the single best candidate ever. But in spite of the Trump team being caught flat-footed, they have already released an absolutely devastating ad about Tim Walz.
What could be weirder than signing a bill into law that requires schools to stock tampons in boys' bathrooms? Or weirder than signing legislation allowing minors to receive sex change operations? Try electing the man who signed those bills, Vice President of the United States. Enter Chief Weirdo Tim Walz. As governor of Minnesota, Walz supported legislation that endangers minors, hurts women, and puts radical ideology ahead of common sense. Now Kamala wants Walz to enforce those laws on a national scale. Tim Walz, too weird, too radical.
An incredible ad, as producer Dave was pointing out while it was running. Is it going to be on TV? One of the things that I'm hearing, and I was watching Olympic coverage with my in-laws last night, is Kamala is all over the Olympic Games. I mean, you are seeing in the critical swing state of Wisconsin, you are seeing Kamala ads everywhere. Team Trump, not so much. Now, I know they have a robust digital strategy, and they are putting a lot of their money. I can tell you in conversations with the campaign, in conversations with RNC and Republican Party of Wisconsin people, a lot of their money is going into their ground game, where they have a big hole to make up. They have got to put a lot of resources into getting their people out to vote, whereas Democrats rely on this massive network of totally not political 501c3 organizations whose sole job it is to be totally political and get Democrat voters out to the polls by the thousands. Now, what might be the single biggest line of attack on Tim Walz? What might be his hugest liability? He appears to be thoroughly corrupt. We will get into that story and the real reason the overwhelming favorite for VP, Josh Shapiro, wasn't chosen.
Win your way to our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One. September 20th and 21st.
T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas.
Streaming live only on Hulu.
Keep listening for your next chance to be there.
Audible is a proud partner of the 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Explore the best selection of audiobooks, plus podcasts and originals, all in one easy app. Audible, there's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, host of the Designer Yard Show and owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. Do you love your landscaping? Do you appreciate the perfect blend of plants, stone, and wood that embraces your home? Do you delight in sitting on your patio with a cool drink, taking in the beauty of your backyard? If you answer yes, then we have a lot in common. Now, one more question. Does all of this beauty disappear when the sun goes down? Since 1994, the experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services have been creating beautiful landscaping that can and should be enjoyed even after dark. If the beauty and pleasure of your landscaping disappears when the sun goes down, you should consider a fully automatic landscape lighting system. The experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services are gifted at creating deliciously soft, subtle nighttime scenes. To schedule a meeting with one of our lighting designers, please call 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Hey, you smell. That's right, you still smell that urine in your house. Urine odor isn't just offensive to the nose, it's a health hazard. The other thing that stinks? Nothing works. Until now. At Steam Dry Carpet Cleaning, we save our customers thousands in carpet replacement, and if it's not all gone, you don't pay.
Call 414-479-9999. Steam Dry. PhDandClean.com. Steam Dry.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Coming up, a pair of tickets to give away to Tucker Carlson at the Fiserv Forum. Our state's largest early vote drive also continues. We will be taking your texts, your emails, 414-799-1130, DOD at iHeartMedia.com. You can also shoot me a Facebook message, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X as well. Just let me know when you early vote. Then let me know when you get your friends, your family members, people within your sphere of influence to early vote. We want to flood the zone ahead of the August 13th primary. Of course, two massive constitutional amendment questions on the ballot on August 13th. Early voting goes now through Sunday. No early voting on Monday. And then day of in-person voting is a week from today, Tuesday, August 13th. Those amendment questions deal with, should the governor be allowed to essentially operate his own personal slush fund? Federal COVID relief poured into Wisconsin by the billions of dollars, and Governor Evers spent $4 billion of it without ever having any legislative input or oversight, and he cannot account for that $4 billion. We have no idea where it went. Legislative Audit Bureau determined that there was no way of ever knowing how that money was spent. And the Evers administration couldn't even provide documentation of the rationale for how it decided to spend the money that it can no longer account for. Tim Walz is embroiled in a much bigger scandal, even than Governor Evers essentially using COVID money as his own personal slush fund, using it to set up an interest-bearing account and getting $100 million plus in interest that he doesn't think deserves to go to the state treasury, but rather only to line his and his cronies' pockets. Walz is embroiled deeply in a criminal scheme to defraud hundreds of millions of dollars. Three words you will never hear. I can almost guarantee it. Three words you will never hear associated with Tim Walz from now until Election Day in November. Feeding our future. Remember those three words. Feeding our future. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Minneapolis has charged 70 people, 70, affiliated with the nonprofit Feeding Our Future in St. Anthony in what they've called a brazen scheme to steal $250 million during the pandemic from government programs meant to feed hungry kids. 18 people have already pleaded guilty. 5 of the 7 defendants in the first trial were found guilty. And Governor Tim Walz did absolutely nothing to stop it. An audit released about 3 weeks ago revealed that the Minnesota Department of Education, under the auspices of one Governor Tim Walz, quote, failed to act on warning signs related to Feeding Our Future's size and staffing prior to the pandemic. What does this mean? It was a bloated nonprofit that was sucking up state education dollars to essentially line the pockets of its staff, and even before it was getting $100+ million, $250 million, in fact, more than that. Even before it was getting all of that COVID money, it was basically taking state money and federal money and just using it to ever bloat its own bureaucracy. Audit also revealed Walz administration did not fully or properly investigate complaints about the nonprofit or its sites, and repeatedly approved the nonprofit's applications to participate in the federal nutrition program, despite identifying serious concerns about its ability to administer the funds. Quote, the Minnesota Department of Education had the authority and the obligation to take each of these steps, regardless of any lack of detail in law or federal guidance, and regardless of a threat of litigation or negative press. In other words, Governor Walz's Department of Education and Walz himself turned a blind eye to Feeding Our Future, which of course is an inner city poverty program. And if you know anything about inner city poverty programs, there is almost invariably a substantial amount of fraud. I believe, is it Mark Belling who says if you ever want to find fraud in government, just look to the poverty programs, because those are just hotbeds of people scamming. And as you see a group called Feeding Our Future just essentially feeding vice presidents more and more salary, you know something is wrong. Well, they're sucking up $250 million in federal taxpayer money. The Walz administration just keeps shoveling this money into Feeding Our Future, and the money is gone. It's literally going to the people involved with Feeding Our Future. 70 people. First of all, how many people does it take to feed the future? Apparently, at least 70. And I'm just going to assume that not every employee of Feeding Our Future was involved in this scam. 70 people associated with this were charged. Now, it should be noted that neither Tim Walz nor anyone who works for the state has been directly implicated in this. But the fact that, like the Minneapolis riots, Tim Walz allowed obvious fraud to continue makes it abundantly clear that he has no business being anywhere near the federal treasury. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back in just a second.
iHeartRadio Olympics Update.
Simone Biles was able to snatch her 11th career Olympic medal, winning silver on floor exercise as gymnastics competition wrapped up. Biles' U.S. teammate Jordan Childs won the bronze, benefiting from a scoring change that moved her from 5th to 3rd.
When it came through, I was very proud of myself. It was my first event final.
Gold for the U.S. in track thanks to Valerie Allman. She won the women's discus throw.
For NBC's live coverage from Paris, search Olympics on the free iHeartRadio app.
You got to get to Built Right today. Dan O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture. Built Right's Labor Day mattress sale is on now. Shop the most unique selection of mattresses with over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Choose from the best brands made in the USA, including Heirloom, Restonic, Therapeutic, Schiffman, and more. Built Right always saves you money. Don't make a mistake by ordering online or from an employee-free store. Built Right makes it easy, and with their legitimate sale prices, you'll get an exceptional value and a great night's sleep, as I do on my Built Right Heirloom mattress. They do the research for you, and their team will take time to help fit you. Built Right specializes in hard-to-find, flippable, two-sided, and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Plus, Built Right offers free delivery and removal on mattress-only purchases of $799 or more. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Business owners, when the time comes to sell your business, experience matters. Lake Country Advisors is your local award-winning M&A firm, and we're right here in Wisconsin. So to sell your business the right way, schedule a free consultation by visiting LakeCountryAdvisors.com.
Big savings are here thanks to Senator Dan Fine. He helped cut property taxes by $11 billion, making home ownership more affordable. That's not all. His efforts slashed income and franchise taxes by nearly $17 billion. Call 608-266-5300 and thank Senator Fine for keeping your money where it belongs, in your wallet. Remember, when your money's on the line, you can count on Senator Dan Fine. Paid for by the Wisconsin Realtors Advocacy Fund.
Dan O'Donnell here. It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management, joined by the CEO of Annex. And this week, Dave, we are seeing a market meltdown. All of the major stock indices negative in one of the worst days of trading in recent memory. Obviously, we knew that at some point this day was coming. We had surmised maybe it would be put off until 2025, but it appears to be here. And the question on everybody's mind is, what's next?
Yeah, what's next? Over here, we are not freaking out about it, but there's certainly a lot of data that has come come out. It started over the weekend with the Japanese yen and, of course, the Japanese central bank tightening rates. And, of course, that sent their markets down about 7%. That trickled into the United States. Of course, what is happening in the Middle East has certainly got the markets jittery. Of course, when we're talking about what's happening in Israel and Iran, these two geopolitical risks have certainly shaken the market. But more important, Dan, and I think this is an important point, when you talk about 34% of market value in the Magnificent Seven, when those things correct, it has a long-lasting effect. And lastly, what's happening with interest rates. Right now, the Fed is talking about an interest rate cut on September 17th and 18th. That's a long ways off. And so we'll have to see what happens. Listen to the Jackson Hole meeting that will happen at the end of the month. All of this means that there's going to be some volatility throughout the month of August. This is a really good time to make sure you know what you own, why you own it, and how much you're paying for it.
And the best way to do that is to head to annexwealth.com to get a review of your portfolio. It's called a wealth metric. It is absolutely free, and it is absolutely necessary in times of extreme uncertainty like right now. For Dave Spano, CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. Thanks for listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Do you know you need a new roof? Of course you do. For award-winning service and a free consultation, visit Klaus Roofing Systems by BuckBuckley.com. And remember, put a Klaus on your house.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word secure to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantage status. So text secure to 989898. That's secure to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
Quality Service Maintenance Plans. D&M offers an easy-to-understand and easy-on-the-budget maintenance plan. From one unit to multiple units. With savings on repairs, no overtime fees, priority service, and yearly maintenance, why wait? Call us today to learn more about why so many customers like yourselves enjoy the peace of mind that comes with a D&M Quality Service Plan. Call 414-281-5350 or visit us at dmheating.com.
D&M. At your service.
Turn to the experts, Carrier and D&M.
Dano. I live in Menominee Falls and early voted. Dan, my wife, and I early voted in Oconomowoc on Friday. Dan, 2 votes in South Milwaukee. Diggs voted in Oconomowoc. Can't wait for November. I voted last week and voted yeses in New Berlin. I voted yesterday at Muskego City Hall and got my friend and her husband to vote as well. Thanks for inspiring the early voting drive. That comes from Deb, who also happens to be a great friend of the show and an older person in Muskego. Deb, that is exactly what I'm talking about. That's what we want you to do. That's why we do the state's largest early vote drive, to try to get you. People always ask me, Producer Dave, what is the number one question we get on this show? Say it with me. What can I do? That is far and away. Dan, you talk about all this stuff. What can I do? I don't want to sound too cynical. I don't want to sound too pessimistic. But the reality is, when it comes to the federal government, when it comes to geopolitics, when it comes to global markets, you can't do anything. All right? I'm being totally honest. I can't either. None of us can. This is big time stuff. But we all do have our own power. This is why I also say if you have an interest in politics and you care about making the world a better place, if you care about leaving a better world for your family, it all starts at the ground level. It all starts with grassroots politics. Of course, you watch Fox News every night or Newsmax or something, you get ticked off about what the Biden administration is doing. Not much you can do to influence that, okay? Instead, channel your energy in going to your local school board meeting. Speak during privilege of the floor. Be kind, be respectful, but be firm and be involved. If you see something that's going wrong with your own school board, with your own village board, you have an insane amount of power as one citizen. Do you know why? Because nobody else is paying attention. Because nobody else cares. Look, you listen to my show in Wisconsin, you know I'm about as plugged in as it gets. I will break stories nobody else will. Even I can't be everywhere all at once. I have no idea what's going on in the, village of Shaniqua at any given moment. But if you live there, you do. If there's something going on in South Milwaukee, I don't know about it. But I can if you tell me. More importantly, if you gather together with other like-minded citizens and take those matters into your own hands, my goodness, you have no idea how powerful you can be in your community. You have no idea how conservative you can turn your community. In fact, one of the reasons that we're in the mess that we are as a country right now is because the liberals, led by George Soros, realized long ago that Soros-level money has such an outsized impact. And now he focused on district attorneys' races. You want to know why we've had since 2020 a broad effort in Democrat cities and even in Republican communities that should know better to decriminalize crime? The reason is because you had George Soros and other people hyper-focused, sure, on national politics, but also on getting local left-wingers elected DA. They will spend like they're trying to win a congressional race to win a local district attorney's race. As a result of that, they have gotten smaller communities to bend to their will. Now, conservatives over the last 2-3 years have woken up to this and have taken back school boards, have taken back village boards, have taken back mayor's offices. But when I talk about the state's largest early vote drive, and I recognize that this is a partisan primary, so outside of district attorney and weirdly enough, sheriff, there are no what we would consider to be nonpartisan race. I say weirdly because sheriff, you don't really think as being a Republican sheriff, a Democrat sheriff. Same thing with district attorney. You don't think of these as partisan offices. You think of state legislature, you think of Congress, you don't really think of those. You would think of mayor's offices as being insanely political and insanely partisan, but weirdly enough, here in Wisconsin, those are considered nonpartisan offices. Same thing with county executive. What I'm saying is that when you get involved to the best of your abilities, when you devote yourself to admittedly a whole lot of boring stuff, right? When you're talking about city budgets and sanitation and how we're going to allocate fire department resources, it can be dull. No insult to the firefighters. You guys are heroes. You know that, you guys and gals. But when we talk about your budgets, yeah, even the most badass firefighter is like, yo, man, I run into burning buildings. I don't want to think about how we're going to fund a new fire truck. Like, it's just too boring. These guys are up 24 hours straight. You think making them think about budgets is going to do them any favors? But if you are focused on that, you have a sphere of influence within your own community. I mean, you might not think that you have power. You might not think that you're able to influence people. I'm telling you, you are. By virtue of listening to a show like this, obviously because I'm so intelligent and I inform my listeners better than any other talk show host in America, clearly that is rather obviously the case, but let's be totally honest, much more so because you already have an interest, because you are actually following stuff like this. People will look to you. Hey, Dan, how do I vote? Hey, Dan, this contested district attorney's race in Waukesha County, I'm not really sure. Both candidates sound conservative. Who do I vote for? I get that all the time. You can too. Send out a text. Remind people to early vote. Say, hey, I like so-and-so for district attorney. Hey, here are all the people that I know to be conservative. Here's who you should think about voting. Easiest thing to do. I know you can't pay for somebody's vote unless, of course, you're a Democrat. Then you can give them cigarettes or whatever the hell you want. Say, hey, you want to play a quick 9? Hey, I booked a tea time at, Morningstar Golfers Club. Before we go, hey, you want to go early vote with me? Real easy way to do it. That's why we do the state's largest early vote drive. That is way longer than I wanted to go talking about that. But honest to goodness, producer Dave, do I not always say this is the most important thing we talk about? I mean, people, what was it Tip O'Neill famously said, the Speaker of the House during the Reagan era? All politics is local. My guiding political philosophy is sort of an extension of that. I say all politics is personal. People will vote based on what impacts them the most. And this is why I'm ashamed to admit I sort of ignored my own rule on the abortion issue. In 2022, I, like many conservatives, thought, it'll be a wash. Well, no, for young women and young men who, let's face it, want to be able to have abortions, that was the issue that was closest to them. That was the one that impacted them the most, and that was the one that drove them to the polls. No government will ever impact you as directly as the government that takes out your trash. That's just true. The government that polices your streets. The government that controls the fire department's response when you have an emergency. The government that taxes your property to fund schools. The government that is responsible for selecting the superintendent, who is then responsible for hiring principals, who are then responsible for hiring the teachers who educate your kids. Sure, I mean, we're going to, on this show, probably talk about the presidential election almost nonstop from now until November. It's the reality of broadcasting. It's not narrowcasting, it's broadcasting. We put a particular focus on the state of Wisconsin. We're on in multiple markets. We've got people listening to us on iHeartRadio from across the state and really across the country. You, however, I think, and I've always thought, have a responsibility as an informed electorate of your community to do what you can to shape the government of that community, to stop what I call liberal creep. Anybody who's lived in Wauwatosa over the past 30 years knows exactly what I'm talking about. Now Brookfield, Greenfield, Greendale, you're starting to see it too. Liberals creeping liberalism. They recognize how disastrously the city of Milwaukee has been run. They understand the failure of the school system, the decriminalization of crime, all of the problems that you get with a Democrat-run city. So what they do is they flee from it, but they take their politics with it. And then I've likened this very colorfully to a swarm of locusts. They destroy the crops in the next city over, and then they just kind of keep moving west. So they've ruined Wauwatosa's governance, and which is a shame, because is there a cooler little town square than downtown Wauwatosa? My kids take violin lessons nearby, so I am always in downtown Wauwatosa. Love Wauwatosa. I love Milwaukee. This is the thing that liberals cannot get through their heads. I love Milwaukee. Absolutely love it. It's the first place I ever lived. I've lived there for a long time. I hate how Milwaukee is run. I agree with Trump in that it's a horrible city, in that its government has been horrible since 1908, last time we had a Republican governor. But in order to stop all of the liberals fleeing from the governments that they elected in your community, you need to be as informed an electorate as possible. And when you ask me, what can I do? It's that. It is use the power that you have. Listen to this show. Really hone your ability to make conservative arguments. I'm not saying yell at people on Facebook. I'm saying face to face. Talk to people like, hey, I think police budgets in this community should be bigger because X. Because we have had a dramatic increase in crime and, whatever. But the ability to just talk to people, to understand the issues, to really hone that conservative philosophy and then spread it in your community is about the most powerful gift that I think you have. We name the Unhinged Liberal of the Day when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
Repairing sunken or uneven concrete can be easy, clean, and half the price of replacing your concrete. Contact Raise Right to fix your trip hazards, driveway, sidewalk, pool deck, and more. Concrete lifting holes are small and nearly invisible. Go to WeRaiseConcrete.com. Raise Right, the #1 concrete lifting, foundation repair, and waterproofing team for Wisconsin homeowners. WeRaiseConcrete.com. That's WeRaiseConcrete.com.
Who services and installs wells and sump pumps? Who does plumbing and repairs? How about water heaters? Who does that?
S&K Pump and Plumbing.
But who services and installs water softeners and iron filters? And what about kitchen or bathroom remodeling? Who does that? There must be one company that can handle all of your water needs. Who can you call?
When it comes to water, one call does it all. S&K Pump and Plumbing.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
While most other furniture finishers restore wood furniture using high-pressure water to remove old lacquer and varnish, we only use a chemical solvent. Because when you use water, it will eventually raise the grain, loosen glue joints, and lift veneer. So if you have something really special that you'd like to restore, call us. For the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. If you want your restored antique piece to remain primitive, no problem. Maybe you want to restore it to as good as new condition. We can do that. The way we work is based solely on what your needs are. And that seems to make the process of restoring your unique piece almost always a positive one. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Are you tired of politicians not working together? Governor Evers spent billions in tax dollars without accountability, funneling money to his allies. But August 13th, you have the power to change that by voting yes on questions 1 and 2. We can strengthen checks and balances and ensure that no politician single-handedly spends your hard-earned tax dollars. Let's make our leaders work together. Vote yes on August 13th. Paid for by IRG Action Fund and the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty.
On game day, we sure enjoy watching those superstar draft choices strut their stuff. Hi, this is Terry Loudwick, owner of All American Window and Door Company. My top draft choice to hold the line against winter cold is Team All American. Our replacement windows are built to compete on your turf, where wind, rain, snow, and ice are all game day conditions. Winning is easy with us in your energy game plan. All American Window and Door Company, 262-255-7170. Estimates are free.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-522-5700. 800-522-5700.
Have you heard that real estate commissions are coming down? Ask your 6% broker if they're still charging 6%. Spoiler alert, they are. Before you overpay to sell your home, Google Redefined Realty. We have 15 to 20 agents, 3 local offices, West Bend, Waukesha, and Pewaukee, and over 500 5-star Google reviews. At just 3.99%, you can sell your home for a fair price and get the professional full-service MLS representation that you deserve. Don't pay 6% in such a hot housing market. It's just 3.99% at Redefined Realty for the same thing.
A tour de force of truth, the sort of truth the rest of the media ignores or frankly covers up. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. We do have a lot of fun too, such as right now when we name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany. Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
Today's unhinged liberals of the day are the liberals at Axios.com. Particularly Neil Irwin, who wrote this morning, the stock market slump doesn't have to mean a recession is near. U.S. economic outlook has dimmed some, but the sharp stock sell-off recent days appears to have its roots in more obscure forces and does not in and of itself mean a recession is looming. Now, you might think, Dan, how does that make Axios the unhinged liberals of the day? Within an hour of that article going online, Axios announced that they were laying off 50 employees because of changing conditions in the media landscape. What I can tell you, being part of that landscape, is that advertising revenue is down significantly, primarily because companies, when faced with the possibility of downsizing themselves, pull their advertising and marketing budgets first. And typically, when there are media layoffs, that is the earliest sign of, yes, a recession. But according to Axios, which is laying off people, just because there was one day of a stock sell-off, that doesn't mean that a recession is imminent. Axios, your unhinged liberals of the day. Stock markets are climbing back. The major indices are all up about 1.5. The Dow is up 1.25 to 39,187 right now, as basically people like me are sort of value shopping. Basically, when the market starts tanking, if you have available cash, that's the time to buy. When everybody else is selling, you want to be buying, especially if you're younger, especially if you have more time for the market to turn around. A recession, a stock market sell-off, a bear market, those are opportunities. And remember, when investing, it's only a loss when you sell at a loss. It's only a loss when you actually physically take the loss. Don't even look at your portfolio, frankly. I don't even want to guess. I have not done particularly well over the past week. I haven't even really looked at it because I know I'm just going to get depressed, especially while building a house. Look, the markets go up, the markets go down. I am seeing forces that would suggest to me that a recession is imminent. I think the Federal Reserve is probably going to consider an emergency meeting, which would trigger mass panic. Bank of Japan has already scheduled it. Remember, they had the worst two-day drop in the country's history, in the history of the Nikkei index, even worse than the Black Monday drop in 1987 that led to the infamous lost decade. Inflation and affordability. Personal incomes are so stressed that we are facing a massive pullback in consumer spending. Moreover, this is, I think, finally catching up at the corporate level where they're just not selling as much as possible. Eventually, prices got to the point where people said, enough is enough, I'm not spending. Enough of that. We will explain what the Tim Walz selection really means about the Democratic Party.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. Several sources are reporting that Vice President and presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris has selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate. The 60-year-old Walz emerged as a dark horse contender among a field which included Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. A shooting and fire on Milwaukee's north side leaves one person dead. Fire started in a vehicle at around midnight Monday morning near 34th and Hour. It then spread to a vacant home nearby. While firefighters were trying to put out the blaze, they discovered the dead body inside the vehicle. Milwaukee police say the victim was fatally shot near 84th and Carmen. The shooter then drove the vehicle to the location where it was set on fire with the victim inside. Police are working to identify the victim and find the suspect as the death is being investigated as a homicide. Another inmate death at Waupun Correctional Institution. Dodge County Sheriff Dale Schmidt said his office was contacted about the inmate's death yesterday morning. An initial investigation revealed a likely suicide. Schmidt said prison staff responded rapidly and appropriately, attempting to save the inmate's life. It's the fifth inmate death at Waupun since June of 2023. 9 people, including former Warden Randall Hepp, were arrested earlier this year. They face felony charges stemming from some of those deaths. Checking the Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, the Brewers get back into action tonight, facing the Braves in Atlanta. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
You wake up feeling like you just boxed 12 rounds. Some wake up sweating with sore jaws, headaches, and a lot of our patients complain of brain fog. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula, and these signs, often joined with snoring, are sleep apnea symptoms. And if this sounds like you may have been in a struggle last night between you and this serious disorder. Many people aren't willing to fight back. But the fact is, you can't go through these nightly struggles without ramifications that each night chip away at your life's expiration date. I get it. You don't want to wear a CPAP mask. You may find out you don't need one. We have every effective sleep apnea solution available. And believe me, the mask is the last resort.
Solving your breathing triangle problem can lead to better sleep and a better quality of life. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Results may vary.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Rain and thunderstorms winding down this morning. Should clear to partly sunny skies by late afternoon, early evening. High today near 70. Northeast breeze strong at times. Clear and 63 tonight. Some sunshine tomorrow. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. Hey, DQ fans, the $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal will leave you and your wallet full. Grab a bacon cheeseburger and order of regular fries, a drink, and a sundae for a whole lot of happy. Only at participating DQ locations. Happy tastes good.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cabovers than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit LynchTruckCenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
How long have you been living with that joint pain? You're calling it an old sports injury or just old age, but you just don't have to live with it. Jay Weber here saying it took me too long to figure that out. If you're someone who's experiencing spine or musculoskeletal pain or shoulder, hip, or knee pain, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. They're the doctors and techs that I trust with my shoulder problems. I've had issues for years, and there's not enough damage to warrant surgery, so Ortho Wisconsin helps me manage the pain. Their clinicians, physicians, and surgeons are committed to providing the highest quality joint care and handle everything from simple strains and tears to sports injuries to managing degenerative diseases to complex joint replacements. In fact, Orthopedic Associates specializes in same-day total joint replacements at their ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee, and lesser treatments like physical therapy can be done at the Pewaukee, Brookfield, and New Berlin locations. Based on my experiences, you will be impressed with Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin and their staff. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-522-5700. 800-522-5700.
Attention well pump owners, do you have enough water pressure for your needs? Can you run 2 faucets at once without a problem? If you answered no to either of these questions, talk to an S&K Pump and Plumbing professional about a well pump checkout before you're left high and dry. They feature a full line of well pump equipment. Contact them at 262-784-HELP or SNKPump.com.
When it comes to water, one call does it all. SNK Pump and Plumbing.
Offering the latest information and the greatest analysis. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Be sure to listen to the NX Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. NX provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
Cheer on the USA and listen to iHeartRadio, the exclusive audio home of NBC's coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Conservative thought, not just talk. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. No, we are not doing the iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest this hour, just 9, 1, and 5 p.m. each day from now until September 5th. That is the Friday after Labor Day weekend. The festival is the 20th and 21st of September. We're giving away a pair of tickets every single day at 9 a.m. on the Dan O'Donnell Show, plus $1,000 $1,000. It's a trip to Vegas and $1,000 to spend. What could possibly be better? How about this? At 10 o'clock, instead of a trip for two to Las Vegas, we give you a trip for two to the Fiserv Forum to see an incredibly genuine and good man. I actually met him and talked with him for a good 5-6 minutes. He was about as engaging, affable, and friendly as you would think he would be. Tucker Carlson is coming to the Fiserv Forum September 16th, 7 o'clock p.m. with special guest Larry Elder. We have got a pair of tickets right now to give away to, how about caller number 16? 414-799-1130. That's the adventknows.com talk-in text line. You can also reach us toll-free, 1-800-838-9476. Caller number 16 wins a pair of tickets to see Tucker Carlson on September 16th, courtesy of iHeartMedia and the most listened to radio station in the state of Wisconsin, News Talk 1130 WISN. What does Tim Walz really think about red staters? Because we've been told for 2.5 hours now, since he was first picked by Kamala Harris to be the running mate. It's not officially official yet, but it's official. Kamala has selected Tim Walz to be her vice presidential running mate. And people have been texting me saying, Dan, what do you mean Kamala is now the official nominee? I'm telling you, yesterday, Democrat delegates voted online. They are not going to do the roll call vote. If they do during convention, it's just going to be a formality. They did a vote online yesterday to make Kamala Harris officially the Democratic nominee. Here's the story from the Associated Press. Vice President, now try not to barf at the way this is written by Sung Min Kim of the AP. Vice President Kamala Harris, a daughter of immigrants who rose through the California political and law enforcement ranks to become the first female vice president in U.S. history, formally secured the Democratic presidential nomination on Monday, becoming the first woman of color to lead a major party ticket. I would love for somebody to go to apnews.com and compare that to when Donald Trump was formally nominated in the roll call vote on the Monday of the Republican convention in Milwaukee. I just compare the first paragraph to that one. Just as soon as Biden abruptly ended his candidacy, Harris and her team worked rapidly to secure backing from the 1,976 party delegates needed to clinch the nomination in a formal roll call vote. She reached that marker at warp speed, with an Associated Press survey of delegates nationwide showing she locked down the necessary commitments a mere 32 hours after Biden's announcement. Harris's nomination became official after a 5-day round of online balloting by Democratic National Convention delegates ended Monday night, with the party saying in a statement released just before midnight that 99% of delegates casting ballots had done so for Harris. The party had long contemplated the early virtual roll call to ensure Biden would appear on the ballot in every state. It said it would next formally certify the vote before holding a celebratory roll call at the party's convention later this month in Chicago. So this is the future Democrats want, ladies and gentlemen. 99% Dem votes in an online election. Once again, the anti-Democratic Party has now, obviously, everyone knew it was just a formality, right? But isn't it interesting that yet again, they hold the vote in secret? Most people didn't even know it was happening. When you woke up this morning, be honest, am I the first person to tell you that Kamala Harris is the official nominee? Producer Dave, did you know that? Producer Dave said yesterday, somebody in Fox News or a news person said, Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. And Dave said, no, she's not. She's the presumptive nominee. Nope, she is now the official nominee. This is just how they roll now. They decide the party's betters, not Debs. If you are, I know there are some libs who are listening to me right now. In fact, I can see one of them on YouTube. They've got a cat emoji, naturally, because it's totally not a childless cat lady. How do you feel about that? You went out to the polls, you cast your vote for Joe Biden. You dutifully told all of your Republican friends that Biden isn't senile, that those are cheap fake videos of him looking senile right up until the moment your betters told you, nope, Biden's senile, time to replace him on the ticket. And then after months of saying, yeah, you know, Kamala Harris, I don't really know about her. I don't like her. She had to drop out before the Iowa caucuses in December of 2019. I just, now you have to, now your party's betters tell you, no, Kamala is the savior of this country. How do you feel about never actually having a say? They wanted to ensure Biden would appear on the ballot in every state. Give me a break. They were talking about doing this because Biden's team wanted to head off what they knew was coming. The effort spearheaded by, I believe, the Obama loyalists, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the power brokers within the Democratic Party, and the real power behind the throne, the Democrat billionaires who are actually calling the shots and were in open revolt in the days after the June debate, because they knew, just as everyone else did, that there was no chance that Biden was ever going to win. Now we have an entirely media-created candidate in Kamala Harris. It is, folks, I don't know how closely you've been following presidential politics. I have been doing this since 2000, and I am a student of American history. I have never heard of a candidate, even Joe Biden, even it was beyond apparent in 2020 that he was incapable of actually campaigning. They at least had him doing virtual interviews on Zoom. I have never heard of an unveiling of a candidate who has not done an interview or a press conference, who has not faced one single question from a reporter in more than 2 weeks after being anointed. And now, once again, in a secretive process, Democrats who are told how to vote voted online to enshrine Kamala Harris. She has now picked Tim Walz as her running mate. And really, the story should be who she didn't pick. Because now we're going to be told the exact same thing. Democrat bettors are going to tell the unwashed rank and file, the patchouli oil crowd, that Tim Walz is the best candidate that she could have picked. When literally a day ago, they were being told that if Josh Shapiro is the pick, Kamala's got the race in the bag. That Republicans should be really worried about Josh Shapiro. He's an incredibly popular governor of Pennsylvania, a state Kamala absolutely needs to win, that she has been somewhat struggling in amongst white rural voters. Yeah, hence the fracking flip-flop, says producer Dave. She needed Josh Shapiro. She didn't pick him. There is obvious subtext here. Josh Shapiro is not just Jewish, but he is openly Zionist. Now, I know Zionist has turned into a massive slur. Do you know what Zionist means? Israel has a right to exist. That's what you believe. I'm a Zionist. You're a Zionist. Anybody who believes, hey, the country that's been there for 80 years should not be disbanded and the people there left to the mercy of Palestinians who would love to see them dead. That's what that's been there. Believe. Shapiro, when he was 20 years old, wrote an op-ed basically defending the Jewish state. Would you believe that late last week, he had to backtrack and reverse his own belief that Israel should exist?
I was 20. Look, I have said for years, long before October 7th, that I favor a two-state solution. Israelis and Palestinians living peacefully side by side, being able to determine their own futures and their own destinies, being able to work as they want and worship as they want.
Yeah, they were living peacefully side by side right up until October 7th of last year. Very clearly they were not. Shapiro, though, being forced to essentially renounce his own Jewishness is stunningly telling. I believe I saw a tweet from the great conservative writer John Ekdahl earlier this morning. Somewhere in Michigan, a Democrat is putting his gasoline can back in the garage. The obvious implication there is that the anti-Semites, who, let's face it, are very much centered in Michigan, very much centered in Dearborn, Michigan, would have been up in arms that Kamala Harris would have picked a Zionist Jewish man. That, ladies and gentlemen, I can all but guarantee you is the Shapiro. I'm telling you, folks, the way they turn on a dime is stunning. I wish that I had the power over my own listeners. Remember the stereotype of Rush Limbaugh and talk radio in general, that all of you who listen are just brain dead ditto heads. You'll do anything we say. My goodness, I can't even convince like 30% of you to vote early, for goodness sakes, okay? I wish you were all a bunch of brain dead zombies under my control. I wish that I had the power that Democrats have to turn the actual brain dead zombies instantly on a dime. 2 days ago, Josh Shapiro would single-handedly win the election for Kamala Harris. Kamala chooses Tim Walz, a dopier version of Bernie Sanders, and all of a sudden, she's genius. By the way, I don't believe I ever paid off what Tim Walz, who's supposed to be the folksy rural voting magnet Bernie Sanders. He's Bernie, but with a folksy red state charm. I don't believe I ever paid off what he actually thinks about you. That where you live is nothing but rocks and cows.
You see those maps, red and blue, and there's all that red across there, and Democrats go into depression over it. It's mostly rocks and cows that are in that red area.
Yeah, there's nothing of consequence. They're just a bunch of hicks. Who cares about that? Those big red areas, rocks and cows. Nothing there. Oh, yeah, that's the guy who's going to deliver rural and suburban voters in Pennsylvania who are tired of Democrats constantly calling them racists. Shapiro, it was believed 3 days ago, would have delivered those voters, especially in Pennsylvania. Kamala wins Pennsylvania. It's very difficult for Trump to win, even if he sweeps the southern states of Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Nevada. It's possible, to be sure, but it's tough. Minnesota, let's face it, was very close when Biden was in the race. Minnesota was not likely to ever go Republican. Tim Walz allows Republicans to make the case that this is the most left-wing ticket, and I believe it is. I mean, my goodness. You've got a guy who says socialism is just neighborliness.
We can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
Yeah. Neighborliness. Allowing Minneapolis to burn for how many consecutive nights after the death of St. George the Pious? Signing into law a bill that would give driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. Signing into law another bill that would mandate menstruation products in boys' bathrooms in schools. That's not just weird. That's unhinged. That's crazy. That is something that the overwhelming majority of Americans don't believe in, don't agree with, and think is frankly insanity. Tim Walz believes in all of that. Tim Walz has done all of that. this opens up Kamala to a very potent line of attack that she's a radical left-winger. Look, she didn't moderate at all. Her running mate he wants tampons in boys' bathrooms. Meaning he wants boys in girls' bathrooms and girls in boys' bathrooms and anybody in anybody's bathroom and whatever other left-wing fantasy that the Democrat Party tells the unwashed rank and file is in vogue at the moment. Shapiro would have been a great pick, but it's obvious that Democrats are too scared of their anti-Semitic base to dare nominate a Jewish man. Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style.
Hey, I just said that.
The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming right back.
The following takes place outside of the Capitol Heating, Cooling, and Electric headquarters.
I don't know, but Mama said you're inhaling particulates. If you don't clean out your ducts, you will be fresh out of luck. And air, clean air, healthy air.
Jason, what is happening? Merle's really whipping the crew into shape. You know he's a squirrel, right? Seth, people throughout history have respected leaders of all kinds. Like Squirrel Alexander the Great. You know, I think you're underestimating him. Really? Watch.
Capital cleans your ducts with high-powered trucks.
Because Capital believes you deserve to breathe clean, healthy air.
We destroy bacteria and annihilate allergies.
He's making them do push-ups. Yeah. Huh. See?
If you haven't had a duct cleaning in 5 years, schedule your Capital duct cleaning today at callcapitalcares.com.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for CertaPro Painters. If you're like me, you do tend to spend a lot of time at home, and you may be noticing the scuffs and faded colors on your walls. Protect your home. Protect your investment with quality painting from CertaPro Painters. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated right here. Schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C, pro.com. When choosing a painting professional, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters.
Hi, this is Craig with Pro-Life Wisconsin. Come and see what we're doing to build a culture of life at our Love for Life Gala here in Brookfield on Saturday, September 14th with guest speaker Seth Dillon, CEO of the Babylon Bee. Tickets are on sale now at prolifewisconsin.org/gala. Or call 262-796-1111. That's 262-796-1111. We'll see you there.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word secure to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantage status. So text secure to 989898. That's secure to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
The next generation.
I'm the one. I'm the only one. I'm the one. I'm the only one.
You're listening to Dan O'Donnell.
Just did early voting in Caledonia, and yes, I did have to show an ID card. Hi, Dan. My sis and I voted yes and yes Friday at the Tippecanoe Library. Brunner in Burlington, second-time early voter. Dan, I'm a long-time listener, first-time early voter. I like that, a variation of the long-time listener, first-time caller. Dan, I early voted in Grafton this morning. Feels good to get that done. That comes from Mike. Dan, I just early voted in Menominee Falls and had to stand in line. Thank you for reminding everyone. Marie voted in the village of Caledonia. Someone texting in the word Vegas. That won't get you an early vote or a trip to Las Vegas. I'm sorry, dear listener. Jim in Franklin early voted. Thanks for your work on this campaign. Brian Stiles spoke to how Republican areas in Arizona ran out of ballots on Election Day in 2022. Don't think that can't happen here. Early vote. In fact, that's one of the best arguments for early voting. It was in Maricopa County. Where else? Maricopa County, Arizona actually did run out of ballots because for whatever reason, they didn't expect high turnout, or the conspiracy theorist in me says the governor of Arizona decided that that is how the ballots were going to be stocked there. There were issues with the ballots not going through the machines. And guess what? A whole lot of people left and never bothered to come back. You don't know if that sort of thing is going to happen. You don't know if you personally are going to have a family emergency. Frankly, I'll bet you a lot of people are going to be out of town. In fact, we are taking off on the next Dan O'Donnell adventure. It is, yes, I know, we're doing 2 trips in one summer. This one, though, is special. It's the 80th anniversary of D-Day that was just marked on June 6th. To commemorate that, we're taking a group of loyal listeners to London. Then we're heading to Normandy for 4 days and then celebrating with VE Day in Paris. And I'm embarrassed to admit I don't remember when VE Day was. It was it May? I think VE Day was May. VJ Day was actually in August, May 8th. Or was, now that I'm thinking of it, VJ Day might have been early September. In any event, normally I'm good on historical dates, but just for whatever. Well, you know what? I am going to learn all about the landings at Normandy, World War II. So are a great group of listeners. We're going on Friday, August 16th. It is September 2nd. I just looked it up, right? VJ Day? You have August 15th. Oh, okay. I thought the official, all right, yep. Department of Defense says August 15th. So we're actually leaving the next day, August 16th. I think the formal surrender was September 2nd, if I'm remembering this right. And I did a quick Google search and just saw September 2nd. Yep, there it is. The official surrender documents were September 2nd, but victory was declared August 15th. Okay. After that little diversion, we're leaving September 16th. I will be doing the show August 16th, excuse me. Boy, oh boy, September 16th, I'm supposed to do a golf outing. You know what I need? I always say I need another producer. What I really need is like a scheduler. I really need someone just to handle my affairs. Yeah, Tucker Carlson is Monday, September 16th at the Fiserv Forum. I was invited to play in a celebrity golf outing. I'm like, so am I a celebrity or a regular person? Unfortunately, it's during the show, and I'm thinking I probably shouldn't miss a program, especially when it's so close to the November election. But my point in saying all this is I'm going to be gone from the 16th through the 25th. A lot of people are going to be gone the 12th through, say, the 18th. Or the 11th through the 18th, doing a Sunday. This is one of the most popular weeks for vacations. If, like me, you're not exactly sure where you're supposed to be on any given day, check with the wife and make sure that you're not going to be gone for Election Day. This, after all, is what early voting or absentee voting is actually supposed to be for people who aren't physically able to vote on Election Day. And because the partisan primary is in August, and because it's in mid-August when people are taking that one last vacation, this would be a time that you would definitely want to early vote. State's largest early vote drive continues, so too does the Dan O'Donnell Show. Stay right there.
iHeartRadio Olympics Update.
It was a good day in field events for the U.S. in Paris yesterday, including Sam Kendricks adding to the U.S. medal count with a silver in the pole vault. Kendricks coming through under Olympic pressure.
Absolutely. You know, you never really come through an Olympics unscathed emotionally, spiritually, or otherwise. You just try to remain happy.
Meanwhile, gold again for Valerie Allman. She won the women's discus for a second straight Olympics.
For NBC's live coverage from Paris, search Olympics on the free iHeartRadio app.
Gorgeous new roofs, showstopper siding, or classic brick and stonework. How about modern windows and regal doors that'll make your chin hit the floor? To a lot of people, having these things can really make them enjoy where they live. It makes them proud. But there's always one thing standing in the way. How do I make that happen? At Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, we have excellent financing options for most people in most situations. 12 months, no interest, no payments, and exceptional rates for long-term loans that will beat your bank with no additional fees or hidden costs. You can go to SemperfiRoofing.com to apply for your pre-approval today. We want to make any project affordable to almost any person, and we've gone out of our way to find partners that can help make it happen for you. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semperfi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semperfi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semperfi.
Ask about our finance options.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Hino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage, so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cabovers than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, and I'm so proud to be a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, a Christian, and an American. My wife Amy and I did our best to educate our children about our reasons for embracing traditional values. Recently, Amy and I became empty nesters, and now our young adults are in the real world with the American dream in their heads, their hearts, and soon it will be in their hands to share with others. God is good. Marriage and children are a blessing. Capitalism works, and America is grand. She is rich with beautiful places to explore. She's a melting pot of beautiful people. Diverse? Yes. But we are still blessed to have so much in common. Ignore the politicians and the media who sow seeds of hate. Let's embrace the wonders of life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness in America. Join me in discovering the wonders of nature and the wonders of America.
Repairing sunken or uneven concrete can be easy, clean, and half the price of replacing your concrete. Contact Raise Right to fix your trip hazards, driveway, sidewalk, pool deck, and more. Concrete lifting holes are small and nearly invisible. Go to WeRaiseConcrete.com. Raise Right, the #1 concrete lifting, foundation repair, and waterproofing team for Wisconsin homeowners. WeRaiseConcrete.com. That's WeRaiseConcrete.com.
Your home is where your heart is, and it deserves the best.
especially when it comes to windows. Marvin is the premier manufacturer of made-to-order windows, offering unparalleled value with craftsman-quality construction, energy-efficient technology, and the industry's most extensive selection of shapes, styles, sizes, and options. And now, they're pre-staining their products too. For more than a century, they've never compromised on quality, and the fact that they're family-owned means they take pride in their products. And that's why we like them, and why Marvin Replacement Windows is our lead brand, because the quality will not let you down. And after over 50 years of having seen it all in the window business, I'd like to think our endorsement of this fine product means something. Marvin Windows, built around you. This is David Wilhelm, and for the area's largest selection of Marvin Replacement window options, your clear choice for more is Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Market volatility, global issues, inflation, still. More than a few headwinds this year. That's probably why Americans feel uncertain about their financial futures. Boomers, not much room for error. Gen X might need more than a 401k. And for millennials, it's time to get real about saving and investing. Talk to Annex Wealth Management. Build security with a partner on your side for unbiased advice. You may need more than investments. That's why Annex delivers tax and estate planning. There's an Annex plan personalized for you. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
Get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at accunet.com.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
In case you thought there would be any negative coverage whatsoever from state media of the selection of Tim Walz as Kamala Harris's vice presidential running mate, let the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel disavow you of that notion. Lawrence Andrea. The headline, Wisconsin Democrats praise selection of Tim Walz as Kamala Harris's running mate. Wisconsin's top Democrats on Tuesday largely praised Vice President Kamala Harris's selection of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate, citing his Midwest roots and ability to appeal to Middle America. All roads to the White House lead through the Midwest, said U.S. Rep. Mark Pocan, and who better to help guide us there than the governor of Minnesota himself. Harris picked Walz, 60, after considering a number of perhaps more high-profile candidates from states critical to the path to re-election. Democrats in Wisconsin in recent days had signaled they would be fine with any of the top contenders, which included Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Arizona Governor Mark Kelly. But after Harris's announcement, they pointed to Walz's working-class background as a former high school teacher, his military service, and his 6 terms in Congress as experience that could appeal to voters in a key swing state like Wisconsin. What is the reporter Andrea saying without ever saying it? They would have been fine, the Democrats would have, with any of her picks. But as soon as she picked Walz, Walz became the single greatest pick she could have made. Really, it was obvious it had to be Walz all the time. How great is Tim Walz? Do you know who they had to? There are so few high-profile Democrats in Wisconsin. In Congress, you've got Mark Pocan and Gwen Moore, end of list. They had to go with good old rub-down Ron Kine, former Democratic U.S. rep whose district bordered much of Minnesota, tells the Journal-Sentinel, I think he's a strong pick. I think he will be very attractive to Middle America in those swing states. I think his record of accomplishment as governor of Minnesota is outstanding. He's smart, he's witty, he's fun to be around. He'll be very appealing to a lot of voters. No, they could have picked anybody. By the way, they did not talk to Gwen Moore. Gwen Moore, oh, wait, never mind. You have to go all the way down to about paragraph 24 to get Gwen. They went with a former rep before they went to Gwen Moore, a sitting member of Congress. Shows how respected she is, even in the hometown Milwaukee paper. U.S. Rep. Gwen Moore, a Milwaukee Democrat, meanwhile, called Walz her dear congressional colleague and said Democrats were fortunate to have had a number of vice presidential candidates with governing experience. Governor Walz is a smart choice and a great human being, Moore said. That ends the story. What does he think about Wisconsinites, by the way? We're a bunch of hicks with rocks and cows.
You see those maps, red and blue, and there's all that red across there, and Democrats go into depression over it. It's mostly rocks and cows that are in that red area.
Now, what is the presupposition of the Tim Walz pick? You actually heard Rub Down Ron and Mark Pocan say it. Tim Walz is going to make people from the Midwest absolutely fall in love with Kamala Harris if they haven't already. We were told that we all love Tim Walz just this morning, so now we're telling you that you all love Tim Walz. There is a very heated Senate battle in Ohio. Sherrod Brown is desperately trying to win an increasingly uphill battle. Would you believe Manu Raju, the CNN reporter who's famous for cornering Republicans, almost never Democrats, and asking them gotcha questions? He just sort of roams the halls of Congress. It's sort of like a Pac-Man game where Raju is one of the ghosts. He's like Inky, Blinky, or Clyde. And once he catches Pac-Man, instead of, causing the game over, he sticks a microphone in the mouth. Well, he finally did that to a Democrat. And Sherrod Brown shockingly admitted he's not going to campaign with Kamala Harris. What does this tell you about how Kamala is playing in the upper Midwest?
You backed much of the Harris-Biden agenda, so how hard is that going to be to run that far ahead of the top of the ticket?
As you know, and as I've said, I'm not a pundit, I'm not a commentator. I don't think of politics as left or right. I think of it as whose side you're on. And Ohioans know I've been on their side.
Will you campaign with Kamala Harris if she comes here?
I have not. I've got my own schedule. She's got her own schedule. I will focus on my race. My strategy is perhaps different from hers, talking about the differences on abortion rights and on minimum wage between Bernie Moreno and me, and how I fight every day for the dignity of work.
Brown, by the way, is leading by about 5 percentage points in the Real Clear polling average of polls over Bernie Moreno, who is the Trump-backed candidate in Ohio, which is something of a surprise. Brown is a long-term incumbent, so he's got the power of the incumbency, but Ohio is a very red-leaning state. And it would be a little bit of a surprise to me to see him. The fact that he is saying, I don't want to campaign with Kamala Harris is very telling, though, is it not? Because what it says is that as many overtures as Kamala is making to the white rural middle class, the great unwashed, that her own running mate said live in areas that are full of rocks and cows. There are still Democrats who understand that she is so radically left that they don't want to campaign with her, because I'm fully convinced Democrats are just waiting for this sugar high to go away, for Kamala to actually have to speak in front of people, to actually have to answer questions about her record. And folks, the fact that the stock market is up now, it was down 1,000 points, the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Massive sell-off yesterday. It's up a little bit less than 1%. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ, which fell a little bit further than the Dow did yesterday, they're up about a 1.25%, something like that. We are still in a several weeks long period where these markets are just shedding their values. They were up. The Dow was up at an all-time high, primarily because for a long time, with low interest rates and with inflation, there was nowhere else to put your money, and all assets were inflating. Houses, stocks, cars, everything was inflating in value. Tangible things just took off in value. This, of course, doesn't help people who don't own stocks, but nonetheless, we are still in a clear pattern that I think even the Federal Reserve, which is now considering an emergency meeting following one today by the Bank of Japan, you're starting to recognize that the economy is in a far more precarious position. Kamala eventually is going to have to answer for that. Democrats may try to do Operation Bubble Wrap Part 2, which did work effectively with Joe Biden. They were able to hide his obvious cognitive impairment even back then, 4 years ago, from the American people. I'm not so sure that they're going to be able to do so with Kamala Harris. They've fooled enough people with memes and vibes. Eventually, when real-world issues like conflict in the Middle East and economic strife start to rain on the happy parade that the media and Democrats have concocted, she's going to come crashing back down to earth. This is why you are not seeing, with the most favorable 2 weeks any candidate has ever gotten, and Democrat jubilation that they're not stuck with a sure loser like Joe Biden. You are going to see the poll. She's only up nationally 3 to 4% max. Remember, she only wins the popular vote by about 2 to 3%. Trump almost certainly wins the presidency. I'll explain how. We've also got some more stuff to get to when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming right back.
Dan O'Donnell here for the incredible team at Mander Collision and Glass, now with 6 locations to serve you. And you hear me talk about my great experiences with Mander all the time. Here's David. I had a chip in my windshield of my 2009 Chevy Malibu repaired today. Scheduling was a breeze. Staff was great. I was in and out in under half an hour. That's the Mander difference for you. Quick, professional work with customer service that's second to none. They treat you as a valued member of the family and not just a number like some of the big national chains. It's service that you can only get with a third-generation family business, and that's why I've been using Mander Collision and Glass for so many years, and so many listeners are now discovering and have discovered the Mander difference too. You can check them out at any one of their great locations: Cedarburg, Brookfield, Heartland, Milwaukee, Muskego, or Waukesha, and start your repair today at mandercollision.com.
Granite Plus is here to save your renovation from turning into a circus. Meet Bob. Bob hired some experts who turned his kitchen into a stupendous mess.
Hey, what the?
He should have called Granite Plus for countertops, cabinets, and flooring. With stable prices and 0% financing, you keep your cash flow fribble-tastic.
Done and done.
On time and on budget for flips, rentals, or dream homes. Granite Plus, turning your property into a splendiferous snazzle-frump.
Wow, this is perfect.
Skip the mess. Visit Granite Plus in New Berlin today and leave the juggle fluff to the clowns.
Don't think twice, call Geis. Need a new garage door, do it right. Don't think twice, call Geis.
For all your garage door needs, don't think twice. Call Geis or visit their online showroom at geisstores.com.
Most states require their legislature and governor to work together to spend federal dollars. Not Wisconsin. Governor Evers spent billions of your hard-earned tax dollars with zero checks and balances. After 4 years of backroom deals and millions lost to fraud, it's time to restore accountability to Evers' out-of-control spending. You can help fix it. It's as easy as voting yes on August 13th to ballot questions 1 and 2, paid for by IRG Action Fund and the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty.
With nearly 50 years of experience, my dad, Jim Mullally, has taught my cousin Mark everything he knows. In fact, he bestowed so much expertise onto Mark that Mark went to New York to compete against the top furniture finishers in the country. And you know what? He won! So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. The bulk of our business is in wood furniture restoration. We found that there are a lot of folks out there with antique furniture and heirloom pieces that are in good shape, but just need to be brought back to life again. Well, that's our specialty. And right here in Mequon, you'll find one of the country's top furniture finishers. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-887-1010. 800-887-1010.
Folks buy a Bellman home and then say they grow out of it, and they end up building another Bellman home, or generations of families that have bought Bellman homes. Things like that let us know we're doing it right.
Bellman Homes.
I'm Dan Small. Join me and Jeff Kelm for Outdoors Radio, Saturday mornings at 6 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Brought to you by the Range of Richfield, the ultimate shooting experience on Helson Drive in Richfield and online at therangewi.com.
Save 10% and get free shipping on By the Yard's maintenance-free outdoor furniture and umbrellas during their State Fair sale with promo code CREAMPUFF. Order by August 12th from the fair, their showroom in Oconomowoc, or bytheyard.net.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Tour de force of truth. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Welcome back to it. Coming up tomorrow, we will play America's favorite game show for another pair of tickets to go see Tucker Carlson and Larry Elder September 16th at 7 p.m. at the Fiserv Forum. That show just announced yesterday. We have got tickets. You can buy them, but why bother? Diane from West Allis was the winner of our tickets today. We'll also have another chance to win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas in the nationwide iHeartRadio Music Festival Fly Away contest. And we will continue to examine the record of Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz. There will be a big rally tonight in Philadelphia. And just to show you how much it seemed that Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, was likely to be the pick, this rally was planned for about a week and a half. It would make a whole lot of sense for Josh Shapiro to be unveiled in Philadelphia, right? Now, granted, I'm not sure where I saw it. I believe Fox News. 5 of the last 6 VP nominees were not unveiled in their home state, but all signs were pointing to Josh Shapiro, meaning something clearly happened. Now, I said before the break, Trump can actually lose the popular vote by 2 to 3 million, 2 to 3% of all the votes cast, and he can still win pretty handily in the popular vote. People still, their minds are blown when I tell them this. Trump did not lose the presidential election in 2020 by 7 million votes. That was the popular vote margin. He actually lost despite all of the Democrat, shall we say, efforts. Remember the big article in Time magazine? They weren't rigging the election, they were fortifying it. Despite all of that, Trump only lost by 45,000 votes, spread across Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin. It's almost impossible to believe. But if those 45,000 votes went the other way, Trump is wrapping up his second term as president. Almost impossible. We don't have the Middle East on fire. We probably don't have Russians in Ukraine. And we almost certainly don't have rapid hyperinflation that's led to an affordability crisis. In 2018, this might be something that sticks to Tim Walz. It didn't in Minnesota because he had a built-in advantage of being a Democrat. But he may have engaged in some stolen valor. An op-ed, it was a paid letter to the West Central Tribune, accused Walz of, quote, embellishing and selectively omitting facts and circumstances of his military career for years. We, retired command sergeants major of the Minnesota National Guard, feel it is our duty and responsibility to bring forth the truth as we know it concerning his service record. So we have put together a timeline of his service post 9/11. To the best of our knowledge, this information is completely true, having been verified by all those who served in positions with firsthand knowledge of the facts and circumstances of his service and departure from the Minnesota National Guard. Many of the dates and timeframes are from his official discharge document and the reduction order reducing him to Master Sergeant. They go through all of the ins and outs of his service in the National Guard. And unfortunately, I have less than 2 minutes today. I suspect we will be reading this in its entirety tomorrow. The bottom line in all of this, the command sergeant's right. The bottom line in all of this is gut-wrenching and sad to explain. When the nation called, he quit. He failed to complete the United States Army Sergeant's Major Academy. He failed to serve for 2 years following completion of the academy, which he dropped out of. He failed to serve 2 years after the conditional promotion to Command Sergeant Major. He failed to fulfill the full 6 years of the enlistment he signed on September 18th, 2001. He failed his country. He failed his state. He failed the Minnesota Army National Guard, the 125th Field Artillery Battalion, and his fellow soldiers, and he failed to lead by example. Shameful. Thomas Barents, Command Sergeant Major, retired. Paul Herr, Command Sergeant Major, retired. It should tell you something that these explosive allegations, and they are very well sourced, it had to be a paid placed letter because the West Central Tribune obviously wouldn't take it. It was dated November 2nd, 2018. This was when he was first running for governor of Minnesota. Again, this really didn't have much of an impact on that race, but he was in an overwhelmingly Democrat state in a big Democrat year. Is this stolen valor allegation going to have more traction in the vice presidential race? Probably not with the way the mainstream media is reporting things right now, but we shall see. Dan O'Donnell Show coming back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Talk to you then.